What is going on, Ravens flock, and welcome back here again to another episode of the Ravens Way podcast. Joining me, as always, is Voss. Voss, how are we doing tonight? How are we feeling? How are the vibes here on this somewhat frigid Thursday evening?
Vibes are pretty good. Vibes are pretty good. You know, a little bit of nervous energy with this Houston team, which I think they have some pretty good players, some pretty good matchups, but feeling confident about the Ravens is a huge, huge game. It's been 187 regular season and postseason games since John Harbaugh carried a team to a conference championship game. So it's been a long time. And this is like a legacy game for Harbaugh, I think, and for Lamar, and for Roquan, a lot of these guys. But yeah, I'm feeling good, but not 100% confident in this one.
I thought I'm feeling great.
You're 100%.
I'm on 1,000. I'm on 1,000% actually. I'm
rocking your
dialed
Pepe
in.
jersey.
Yeah,
rocking your Pepe jersey for good luck.
I'm dialed in.
Good, man. Well, let's take a look back at these wildcard games before we get into our preview of the upcoming games, and we're going to do a deep dive on the Ravens. But first, just off the top line thoughts on Super Wildcard Weekend.
I think the only game that shocked me was the Packers winning. Just because I had Dallas going all the way, and I stuck to my pick before the season. That's what we made. You made the Ravens and the Eagles. I made the Cowboys and the Ravens. And they got beat up at home. And you figured that was like the perfect script for them, was to play home against the 7th seed. But on this podcast, I think I got the pick right before the game as well. I said that Jordan Love would throw more than 1.5 touchdown passes because it felt like money every week, and he went out and did it, and then they won the game because Dallas is just, they're just one of those teams that just get to the playoffs and crumble.
Yeah, definitely impressive performance from Love and Stroud. They're kind of, I guess, maybe along with Trevor Lawrence, the next generation of kind of franchise quarterbacks, at least based off the way they played last week. So I went 5 for 6 against the spread. I ended up changing, which I did mention, depended on if A.J. Brown went or not. Once he was out, I ended up betting Tampa. So I went 5 for 6 ATS. The only one I missed was the Buffalo game because I was kind of thinking there was too many points. If it was going to be played in the blizzard, they ended up changing it. 4 for 6 straight up. The Rams lost by 1, and I did have Dallas. That was a major miss for me as well. The biggest takeaway for me, and this has been proven time and time again, but some still don't acknowledge it, defense doesn't win championships. Defense doesn't win playoff games anymore. They were 3 teams in the top 6 of the DVOA defensive rankings. Cleveland Browns were number 2, gave up 45 points to Houston in an L. 2 pick sixes contributes, but still their defense wasn't locking it up. Dallas, number 5 defense, gave up 48 points to Green Bay, and Pittsburgh, number 6 defense, gave up 31 to Buffalo. All 3 lost. Just did an average here. The average DVOA ranking of the 8 remaining teams on offense is 7.6. On defense is 11.7. So we've been making that point, but I just want to drive it home. Offense wins championships, not defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a ton of points scored this past weekend as well. The Dallas game, even though a little bit of garbage time, there's 80 points scored. Even the Rams Lions game, I mean, it almost got over 50. I think the Lions certainly surprised me in the way they won that game. It felt like Stafford was certainly probably the best quarterback performance, in my opinion, throughout the playoffs so far, just of the adversity and the roster that he has around him. I thought that was a really impressive performance to go out like that. But the Lions, they seemingly keep proving me wrong and just keep winning games. We'll get into the preview. They have another
losable game.
Yeah, they have another kind of similar opponent that they could probably sneak by again. And
Yeah, I don't bike off. You complete one third down pass, and all of a sudden he's like, like it's like the greatest postseason game ever. Honestly, I thought that was more McVay, the game management, not saving timeouts and not going for it. Was there about 4 minutes left, I think, and they had the ball. I don't know. McVay, for as brilliant of a schematic mind, might not be the best game manager out there.
yeah,
But yeah, still, the Rams, that's a hell of a run for them. NFC's looks weak, man. I wanted to fade the Niners, but not a whole lot of. I think the two best teams are playing. Green Bay. The other two don't really. They just seem like also Rams to me. But anyway, it was good. It was a pretty good weekend, I thought, of action overall.
yeah.
No crazy like referee controversies or anything like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was just good football, good entertaining football. That's all you can ask for.
Absolutely. So, without further ado, let's transition here into our Ravens-Texans preview. Time for the Ravens to try to capitalize on this number one seed and this regular season they put together. Let's go phase by phase here, and let's begin where we always should begin, with the Baltimore passing offense, Yuri.
Yeah, a lot of really intriguing matchups in this game. You're gonna have the two that are sticking out to me right away is Stingley versus Zay Flowers, and Tunsil versus Will Anderson. How can the Ravens kind of prevent the Texans defense from getting pressure like they did week one and like they have been over the past 17 games? Really, the Texans defensive line is played outstanding, and the offensive line, you may have to even give help sometimes to Stanley or Moses because of how good Will Anderson is. Will Anderson is top 5 in pressure win rate, and so outside of that, what the Ravens have in terms of matchup advantage is I think our wide receivers and our skill players versus their defensive backs. Their back seven. Even though Stingley is a great player and Petre is a great player, outside of them, I don't have a lot of faith in what they have at cornerback and safety, especially the deep half safety. I don't think Jimmy Ward is just as good as the name.
He's out. He's done. He's on IR. Yeah.
Whoever they have.
DeAndre Houston Carson is their starting safety, who was a back end guy for the Ravens in training camp, if you recall.
I do.
He was like the Ravens' 60th man, and he started for them.
Yeah. So I think this is a really good game that the Ravens can establish the pass, a little bit under center play action, and I think this is probably the tipping scale for the Ravens for this game.
I would agree with you, and I think you make really good points about Stingley having a really good year, a player we liked a lot coming out. I had him higher than Sauce. I'll admit that. The thing is, the Ravens have more than one playmaker wide receiver now. They don't just have one where he can just shadow him around the field and take him away like he did on Amari Cooper last week. The edge rushers are definitely going to pose a challenge. Houston as a team had the 5th best pressure rate in the league. You have Grenard coming probably going against Ronnie most of the game, and then Anderson against Moses, and then they picked up what's his name from Philly? Where did I write that down? Anyway, Barnett, and he's having a good year. Houston's pass defense is 23rd in DVOA, so that's a really low mark. It's a mark you don't see a lot of playoff teams have. Their safeties are pretty weak, as you mentioned, with Houston Carson. Found an interesting stat. I did a by the numbers article for a Baltimore Beatdown this week. Encourage everybody to check that out. They have allowed the 5th most yards to tight ends out of any team this year. So I do expect Lamar to be able to carve him up a little bit in that intermediate area with some crossers, some inbreakers. That's where Lamar has really excelled as far as passing. There's a good article out on The Athletic today about where his best hotspots are. But again, I think just the depth of receivers, instead of just having one playmaker and a couple blockers or Willie Sneads or whoever, you got more playmakers now. So I think that favors Baltimore for sure. Let's go to the Baltimore rushing offense against Houston rushing defense. Strength on strength pretty much there.
Yeah, the Texans are top 2 in yards per carry in the NFL in terms of allowing the least yards per carry. So definitely a tough rush defense. Obviously, defensive talent all over the line. And the big X factor in getting the Baltimore Ravens rush offense going this game is probably going to be using Lamar a little bit more on the ground and getting some of those fakes and getting those linebackers moving. A little bit of Zay Flowers jet motion. Duvernay's back. Maybe you want Duvernay doing that instead. Getting those jet motion plays just to draw the defense. Maybe not necessarily handing it to him, but I think this is a big Lamar fake game, in my opinion, in terms of getting the rush offense going. I don't know if the Ravens are they always do run the football well, but I don't know if they're going to be able to run straight up against them and have it work out in their favor.
Yes. So Ravens have the number 1 rushing offense. Texans have the number 2 rushing defense. I don't really have a whole lot to say in this area. I think the Ravens are going to be a pass-first team this game. They should be. They should be for multiple reasons. I did find this interesting. Houston has allowed the 5th most rushing touchdowns throughout the regular season. So although they're pretty good at limiting yardage, Gus Edwards should have a pretty good chance to punch one in. We'll come back to that when we get to the props I like. Let's flip it over to let's shoehorn special teams here in the middle. What are you looking for on special teams, Jerry?
Probably it's been a while since the Ravens have blocked a punt. And I mean, in playoff games like these, you can really buy any of those blocked punts, blocked field goals, even blocked PATs. I think it'd be really nice to see the Ravens go out there and at least block one, even if the other team, recovers. So what? I mean, you gotta, there goes points off the board, and in these tight games and game scripts that can get wild, any points in your favor is good in my opinion. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody make a play for me.
Absolutely. We've seen so many crucial special teams plays in Ravens playoff games over the years, going both ways really, but usually favoring the Ravens. Obviously, the Ravens are known for their special teams. Number 3, Houston is number 7, so they're pretty damn solid. What was it? 2 years ago, they had a bunch of cap space and they had to spend it to hit the salary cap floor, and they ended up signing 10 career special teamers to fill out their roster. So I think there's a little residual effect there.
Yeah,
Scoop and Score Moore was one of them. Yeah.
They had the Patriots GM, so he was like, all right, we're going to go the Bills that way, and we're going to sign every special teamer ever.
Right. Anyway, I think the special teams ultimately do favor the Ravens because Justin Tucker's just been there, done that, just so clutch. I don't think anybody's more clutch than him. So far, pass offense, I think, favors Baltimore. Rush offense favors Baltimore. Special teams favors Baltimore. Let's go to the Houston pass offense against the Ravens pass defense.
Yeah, so CJ Stroud just kind of ripping as time goes on, just ripping through a lot of these good defenses. The Browns defense obviously was banged up, but I still thought they were well coached, at least. But no Dell, no Browns on IR. They're starting to get a little banged up on the Texans pass offense, and it's kind of a different game. Weirdly, I know a lot of people are making the point that, this is a different Texans team than week 1. I don't really think it is. I thought CJ Stroud played pretty well week 1, and I think Dell caught a touchdown week 1 as well. So I still think that they were a decent team then. I don't think it's actually that much of a different team between now and then. I mean, the stats are there, and 17 games of proof is there, but I felt like coming out of that game, the week 1 game, looking at it now, like I felt like the Texans were like, okay, well, this is definitely not like I thought the Texans to be bottom dwellers, and after that game, I'm like,
Yeah.
I could see them putting up a fight and at least going 500. But CJ Stroud's playing well, but this is another West Coast timing play action offense that Mike McDonald has seemingly start to put a lid on, and CJ Stroud is a rookie quarterback, and I think that they can get after him a little bit and probably stress the back end and coverage a little bit more. Nico Collins is playing very, very well, but you can be a little more aggressive when your wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 are out. So
Good point. Good point. Yeah, I think that's the big difference between the offenses. There's a few, but the Ravens have depth of weapons. The Texans don't. Nico Collins having an outstanding year, and he is an RAS guy. 11.9 yards per target. It's the third best mark out of any receiver in the entire league. Just to put a little context there. It's a strength on a strength. CJ Stroud has a very good deep ball. He pushes the ball downfield. He's got a quick release. Ravens are the best, very best defense defending the pass. They actually have the lowest yards per pass allowed since the 2009 Jets. They're actually allowing more yards per run than yards per pass, which is unheard of in this day and age. Another storyline, I guess, Stroud has not thrown an interception in 6 consecutive games, 165 consecutive passes. The Ravens lead the league in turnovers, takeaways with 31 this year. So it's I think it's pretty much a push. The Texans O-line has taken some hits. They got a couple, Titus Howard and what was that Texas A&M guard that they took, Kenyon Green. They're both out. I do expect Matabike and Travis Jones with an extra week of rest to come out firing off the ball and probably get some pretty good penetration. I do think Tunsil can probably hold down that left side. He's playing at a high level. Oweh will give him some tricks, some trouble, but I think they're probably going to be able to get more pressure coming off that right side of the offensive line with Clowney. And just another guy to keep an eye on, Brevin Jordan, kind of an H-back tight end type of guy. That's a guy they like to get into space. The inside backers are going to have to key on him a little bit to avoid maybe giving up a chunk play to him. Overall, I think because Marlon Humphrey is out, which is a big loss, which is an unfortunate loss, and I'll bring it up again. He got hurt playing his third special teams snap of the season. They should not have had him out there for that, but it is what it is at this point. I'll call it a push. I do think, although Stroud fits the model of Purdy and Burrow and who else with that Shanahan scheme that the Ravens have nullified for the most part, he has better arm strength than most of these other guys. As we saw Stafford utilizing a similar scheme, but with the arm strength was able to make some plays on the Ravens defense, and I think Stroud will be able to do the same.
Yeah, I would agree, but I think that the Mike McDonald might get a little too confusing. And to your point about Oweh, I think one of Oweh's best games this year was Week 1 versus the Texans.
Is that when he got a forced fumble, or was that a different game?
That was Cleveland. That was Cleveland that he got a forced fumble. But I thought one of his best games. Yeah, I thought one of Oweh's best games was against Tunsil, Week 1. So. Yeah. I think he'll have a big game, in my opinion, and not to be a complete homer and kind of minimize what the Texans are doing, but I just think overall as a team, the Ravens are more talented. They have a deeper coaching staff. They have the better quarterback. They have the better defensive backs. They have the better edge rusher, defensive line combo, and they have the better linebackers. Yeah, I mean, I can really go down the list. And the only one you could probably put up for debate is running back, tight end, and maybe offensive line. So,
I think they have a better left tackle, and I think that Stingley and Anderson are probably the top 3 players. But yeah, no, I agree with you. The Ravens are a superior, more talented team. more experienced team, more focused team, and they're at home. But let's touch on our last phase here before we get to predictions. Houston rushing offense against the Ravens rushing defense. Go ahead, I'll tee you up and then I'll give my thoughts.
Yeah, Damian Pierce thought he was going to be the bell cow, but guess not.
3 yards a carry, less than 3.
Yeah, so for me, I don't think Devin Singletary moves the needle a lot. He's a hard runner, but I just don't. I don't think he. I don't think he's going to be the one to crack to really pound away at a Ravens rush defense, especially with how much they have there already in terms of defensive manpower in the Ravens. So I'd probably tick Ravens here, and you got to think about the defensive backs as well, being plus run defenders. Most of them are.
Hamilton.
Yeah. So I'm getting in the props. I saw a prop for Hamilton that I liked, but
nice. Save it for our next segment. So this has become a popular matchup advantage for Houston, according to some national pundits, and the Ravens' run D isn't what it usually is. They are allowing 4.9 yards per carry this year, which is third highest mark in the league. It's by choice. They can stop the run. They just choose to not put numbers there because they'd rather stop the pass because stopping the pass is more important. Long story short, I think Slowick is going to have a pass-heavy game plan. That's what worked for them last week. They passed on early downs. They got ahead of the sticks. When the Ravens want to stop the run, they can go to base, put in Brent Urban, get a little bit, maybe if Harrison can go at Sam. The Texans are only netting 2.2 yards before contact, which is sort of a measurement of how much push their offensive line gets, which is one of the worst marks in the league. So, I think – it's a weakness on a weakness, but it's not a weakness unless the Ravens want to be. They haven't been chasing points at all this year, so they've never been in let's stop the run and get the ball back mode. So I will also go with you there and favor the Ravens. So pretty much almost every phase here, it's favoring the Ravens. Obviously, takeaways are the great equalizer. So anything could happen in the postseason. But right now, the Ravens are laying 9.5 points, 9.5-point favorites. The total is set at 43.5. Came down. I think it was 46 earlier in the week, and maybe with some of the weather coming in tonight and tomorrow. Or just they think the Ravens are going to, I don't know, maybe they saw Kyle Hamilton's a full go. Either way, let's hear some predictions, score predictions, and any props that you want to advise us to wager on.
Yeah, I think starting on score prediction, I think the Ravens win this one, and I think it's pretty handedly. I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Ravens 31, Texans 13. I just think that the Ravens they're a little too talented, and the Stroud run has been good, and I'm sure he'll make a couple plays this weekend. It's what good quarterbacks do, but the Ravens they're just really too talented. I don't think they're gonna buck like they did against 2019 against the Titans and have them buckle their ankle and buckle their knee and fall over. In terms of props, I like Kyle Hamilton is plus 114 for over 5.5 tackles plus assists. I think that's easy money. Gus Edwards is minus 105 for anytime touchdown. I like that. I like Odell Beckham to go over 32.5 receiving yards. I like Lamar Jackson to pass over three. I'm gonna get a little aggressive. 3 passing touchdowns. 3 or more, not more than 3. Jackson 5 would be fun though, but I feel like 1.5 is probably your safe. Like put it in the parlay, it'll hit leg. But the push the agenda just a tiny bit more. I'll go ahead and go with 3, and then the last one. The last one I am going to throw in there is the Dalvin cook-off playoff. Anytime touchdown is plus 750. I mean, I don't know. Just throw $5 on it and see what happens.
I like it. Dalvin was activated. Go ahead.
Nelson Aguilar anytime touchdown. There you go.
There we go. Yeah, Dalvin was promoted to the full-time roster with Melvin Gordon being released. And so I think what this boils down to is the Ravens have a deeper group of playmakers. The Texans probably have, if you put the Texans' top 5 players against the Ravens' top 5 players, it's probably pretty close to a wash, especially considering positional value, because the Texans built their team wisely and with premium position talent first and foremost. But the Ravens have the depth of receivers. They're not in a position. They're in a position to take advantage of the Texans' vulnerabilities. The Texans have a vulnerability in their interior offensive line. The Ravens have penetrating 3 techs. The Texans had a vulnerability with their wide receiver 2 and 3, with their guys banged up. The Ravens have ample corners. And the Texans have a vulnerability with their safeties and their CB3, which is King, I believe, at this point. Somebody got hurt. And the Ravens have an abundance of wide receivers to spread the field, to take advantage. So my score prediction is similar to yours. I'm going Baltimore 31, Houston 17. That would hit the over, and also Baltimore. As far as a bet, I did pretty well last week, even though I was very leveraged on the Rams and on Mike Evans' first touchdown or any touchdown, which he dropped on the 1-yard line. Yep, that would have been a mortgage payment. But anyway, still did pretty well by making more focused straight plays. So I'll do a SGP, Ravens minus 9.5, Gus touchdown, OBJ touchdown, OBJ over 32. That's plus 1,100. If you want to add on the over onto that, you can probably juice it up to about 1,400. So I like that one there. And also want to give a shout out my son, Panayoti. I said, who's going to score the first touchdown? He said Dalvin Cook. So Panayoti's going with Dalvin Cook first touchdown. I don't know what the odds are, but they're probably really juicy.
They probably are. That's probably a 5 wins you 170 type bet. That's a good one.
Yeah. So anyway, should be fun, man. You're going. I know we have the Yuri win streak on the line. How many is it now?
13.
All right. So let's get to 14. And yeah, let's get it. Any other thoughts on the Ravens game before we move on?
No, I just think I'm hoping for a win, obviously. I think I felt a lot more confident about this one than in some of the playoff games in years past. I feel like this one favors us a little bit more. And it seems like they've changed up their mentality and what they're doing throughout the week to focus on the right things. And hopefully that pays off.
Yeah, I think that is a big takeaway. It's a different vibe in the castle, and they're very much more focused on taking advantage of this opportunity. So let's hope they do. Let's hope they get a host an AFC Conference Championship game for the first time in team history. They've never hosted one. So one more win to get there, and probably going to have to go through a pretty good quarterback there, as it should be as well, if they do get this win. But yeah, I'll put my trust in the coaches. I put my trust in the players, and feeling a pretty good a victory and a cover here. Let's move on to the NFC 1 seed, San Francisco Niners, hosting the Green Bay Packers. Another 9.5-point spread, although they're expecting more points in this one with a total of 50.5.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because you think that the Niners should blow the Packers out of the water in a sense, but I don't know. Good quarterback play can really hang you in some games and keep you in. I still think the Niners win. I'm going to go with 31-27, but I still think that the Packers probably keep this a close game. I still think Jordan Love hits his over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think the Packers' offensive line is not actually that bad and can probably hold up against that 49ers rush and start taking advantage of those pretty poor secondary players they had back there in San Francisco.
Yeah, so for me, Love is playing great, and Green Bay's pretty well rounded. I agree with you. They have some good players on the offensive line. Aaron Jones really playing well after he came back from injury. They got a whole assortment of first and second year receivers who are all stepping up when their number's called. Um, and I also think LaFleur. I want to make mention of LaFleur because I think he is a borderline top five head coach in the NFL at this moment, and he doesn't get enough credit. He's racked up wins. He's racked up regular season wins, and now postseason wins with a changing cast, with not an elite type of roster. I'm tempted to take the Green Bay money line, but I do think San Fran has just too many weapons when it really boils down to how are they going to contain Kittle and Ayuk and Debo and CMC at the same time. However, I think 9.5 is too many points, so I will take the Packers against the spread. I think Love keeps it close, maybe a backdoor cover. Maybe they jump out to a lead and San Fran's a little rusty. I think it should be a pretty close game. So I'm taking Green Bay plus 9.5. Aaron Jones under 69 rushing yards, as well as he's been doing. I just don't think the game script's going to be there for him. I also have Love over 1.5 touchdowns and 251 passing yards. That's plus 750. Go ahead and shoot that bullet.
Absolutely. That is it's a nice little parlay right there. The only thing I'll add to this game is I do think George Kittle anytime touchdown. I do like his matchup against the Packers linebackers. I think he's a little too physical for them.
I agree there. I think this is probably a Kittle game. If you had to, it's hard to pick what playmaker is going to pop off, but this is probably a Kittle game. Let's go. We'll just go in chronological order. Tampa Bay, Detroit. Actually, that's the night game, isn't it? Either way, Detroit is laying 6.5 at home. Point total is set at 48.5.
Yeah, I think this is actually an evenly matched game. You have two kind of game managing style quarterbacks. You have two teams with good running backs. One just because one was selected in the fourth round and the other was selected in the first, I don't think there's that much of a marginal difference between the two. Rashad White has been a very good running back this year, and he continues to play well and continues to put up like 100 scrimmage yards every week. You have two really good outside wide receiver threats for Tampa. You have no cornerbacks for the Lions outside of Branch, who was moved down the slot a little bit. This is a tough one. I don't, and this isn't just me to continue picking against the Lions, but I mean, Tampa kind of is once again maybe more talented than them. I mean, offensive line you could probably chalk it up. Defensive line definitely Tampa. Linebackers, I mean probably Tampa. Defensive backs Tampa. Running backs, chalk. You can probably get lean Lions. That's fine. Tight end, definitely Lions. But it's probably gonna. I would probably go over the 48.5 there on the point total. I think this is definitely a game that could have some points be scored in it. But
yeah,
I'm taking them. I'm picking against them till they fucking lose. Give me the Buccaneers, 31-28. Another high scoring affair, but I'm tired of seeing this team with no defensive backs, one good defensive edge rusher, and I'm tired of seeing them win. I'm sick of it. I don't want to see it anymore. Give me the Bucs. Give me Baker Mayfield and the Bucs.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way too, brother. I think Tampa Bay's offensive tackles are pretty solid to kind of keep Hutchinson at bay. I think Vea can do a pretty good job of clogging those run lanes for Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Detroit has the best run defense, DVOA rush defense in the league. Tampa Bay has a 28th rushing offense in the league. So I expect Baker to air it out. And I expect that Detroit's corners are going to have a really tough time covering Evans and Godwin. I think that's really the advantage there. They just have that 1-2 puncher receiver that Detroit just doesn't have, and they don't have the corners to match it. And Detroit is 24th in the league in defending the deep pass. So that is definitely where I'm kind of thinking that Baker can exploit them a little bit. I am taking Tampa. I'll take Tampa money line, but as far as a part, I'm going to ride with you. Let's go Tampa. We're going to keep picking against Detroit until they lose. I'm with that. As far as a parlay, Tampa plus 6.5. I forgot to write down the odds here, but I had Baker over 256 and Chris Godwin over 64 receiving yards. And you could probably throw the over into that and get it juiced up pretty good. I forgot to write down the but it's at least 5-1 at least, because I always make it at least that.
Nice. I got Evans anytime touchdown. We're not gonna stray away. And then Rashad White over 22.5 receiving yards. And then we have what was the last one? The last one was Tampa Bay defense. Anytime, anywhere, any place, touchdown.
I like it. I like it a lot. So that would if our predictions hold, that would be Tampa at San Fran for the NFC Championship game. And let's move on, I guess, to probably the marquee matchup of the week. The Kansas City Chiefs at the Buffalo Bills. Bills are favored by 2.5 at home. Point total set at 45.5. Should be a good one. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, it's certainly a high touted game, and sure there will be plenty of Tony Romo and Chris Collinsworth just moaning into the TV screen, but yeah, I look forward to it. I think it'll be a fun one. None of these games ever, the Bills and Kansas City games, they never really disappoint in the playoffs. So
yeah,
at the end of the day, even though Kansas City wide receivers aren't that great, I just think the Bills are a little too injured. And despite all the momentum they've created, and despite how Allen is making up for interceptions, Kansas City's defense is top 5 in the league. It has played very well this year. I'm not a believer in the Bills' offensive talent outside of Allen and Diggs. And even then, Diggs really isn't getting involved. And it's been, it seems like every time they play each other, it was Gabe Davis in that one game where he scored 4 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns, whatever it was. So I like Kansas City here. They're plus money, even though they're going to Buffalo. And sure, it's Mahomes' first road playoff game, but
right.
I just
that's
think
crazy, isn't it? His first road playoff game.
Yeah,
well, they hosted 5 straight conference championship games at home, right?
Yeah, and
it's unbelievable.
And my thinking behind it is the storyline that what it was supposed to be was the Lamar versus Mahomes playoff thing, and Allen kind of got on the way and took it over, and I think that it'll be the Ravens hosting the Chiefs next week, or the following week.
It feels right. It feels like the Ravens should.
Right. Yeah,
it feels like they should have to go through the Chiefs. Yeah, it feels like they should have to go through the Chiefs if they want to make the Super Bowl. It just seems, you don't want to back into the Super Bowl, so to speak. Not that there's a huge separation between these two teams, but as you said, KC has a good defense, a better defense. They're number 7 DVOA defense in the league this year. Third best for remaining, only behind Baltimore and San Fran. People don't respect that, and Spagnuolo in the postseason even goes to another level a lot of times. So I do expect that KC is going to be pretty well. Last time they matched up, which was, I think, in November, if I'm correct, Allen targeted Diggs 11 times. KC held him to 24 total yards. So that's pretty good. And I think the Buffalo defense is overrated. They're banged up. They're banged up at edge rusher, and they're banged up at corner now. They lost Benford and Teron Johnson, I believe, last week. I think I just got to lean the more reliable quarterback. Allen can make plays like Mahomes can make plays, but Allen, has more turnovers, and Mahomes, can do it without turning the ball over quite so much. So KC plus 2.5 is a lock for me. And my bet for this game is KC money line and Rashee Rice first touchdown, and that's plus 1,300. So nice little dart through there if you like it. But I agree with you. It just seems poetic that the Lamar has to go through Mahomes to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of props for me, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Isaiah Pacheco anytime touchdown. One with that last week it hit.
Yeah.
The Bills, like to your point, the Bills defense really isn't that good, and they also let the Steelers offense did move the football pretty well. It wasn't pretty because their quarterback is terrible, but you know, they were. It wasn't like the Steelers' offense was stagnant, and they kept crossing the 50-yard line, and picks and fumbles and all that stuff, but plenty of opportunities for the Steelers' offense to score. And kind of to my point that this Kansas City offense will probably buy itself in the red zone and then hand it off to Pacheco. I am never touching Travis Kelce anytime touchdown again. He cost me a 500 leg parlay. I will never touch him again. Goodbye. Enjoy retirement. I'll probably pick under on him and next time. But saying all that to say that I like Rashee Rice 5+ receptions. It feels like every game that they win, he has 5. So
yeah, especially with Buffalo's corners banged up. I mean, that game could go either way. Obviously, probably turnover differential is going to decide all 4 of these games. But overall, let's see here. The Ravens are the only favorite I'm picking against the spread. I'm only picking two favorites to even win outright. So, kind of a dogs barking kind of weekend, I think.
Definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So, what else? What else about this? You're going to give a speech to the fans to get loud or something like that?
The speech? You want a speech, boss? I give you a speech.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
But at the end of the speech, I hope you have nothing else to say because the stream's ended. We're gonna end the stream on a bang.
All right, let's go.
So, what was that? It sounded like something close. Oh, okay. Anyways, listen. Playoff football. Okay, my phone doesn't want to stay up. Playoff football does not happen in Baltimore very often. Divisional round football does not happen in Baltimore very often. The Ravens have not played a home playoff game since 2019. And that game left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. They played a game in the year before. The Ravens lost 22-10. But I tell you what, out of both of those games, my ears were ringing both times. And I think that if you can, and the cold is not too much for you, you show up Sunday, you show up with your hand warmers, you show up with your gloves, you show up with your hat, you show up with your purple camo pants, you show up with your air horn, you show up with your pack of Bud Light, White Claws, Corona, whatever you want. Phone dropped again. Cowbells, you show up. Yeah, you show up with the little thing that you blow into that sounds like the screaming, screeching goose or something. I don't know.
Ukulele or whatever.
Yeah, that one.
Ukulele.
And you go there. You go to the stadium. As long as you're responsible when you have a ride home, you get drunk, and you yell. You yell for 3 hours. And you leave that stadium without your voice, and you go out there and support your football team. This is the best Ravens roster that has been constructed in my lifetime that I've witnessed, not when I'm an infant child. And I'm excited. Ravens football's here. I'm ready. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to listen to Enter Sandman. I'm ready to listen Whom the Bells Toll. I'm just ready to go out here and And we gotta win one, man. We gotta win one. As the thumbs up is there, you go. Fuck off the screen. So I'm ready, man. I'm ready to go out. I'm ready to go out here Saturday and yell. I don't care how cold it is. I'll wear 4 layers. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm just ready, man. I'm pumped. I just we gotta win one, man. We gotta win one. It's been a while. The taste of winning a playoff football game, it satisfies you in a different way. And ever since that Steelers 2014 playoff win, it's I'm dry, man. I'm dry. I'm dry.
Yeah.
I'm like an alcoholic. I'm shaking. I need a win. I need a fucking win. So let's
Get
go,
wet.
man.
Get wet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring home a big W. That's all. It's yeah. Can't wait. Cannot. In the words of Bart Scott, cannot wait. Fortune favors the bold. Be bold, and advance to the conference championship game.
Yeah, and when we get to that stadium, man, just filter out all the bad thoughts, all the negativity that you could have about this game, and just it seems like there's always a negative aura around that stadium, and here we go, here comes this, and then the fans kind of get out of it in second down, and they don't yell as loud. First down to fourth down, stand up and yell. You don't want to stand up and yell. Stay home. Stay home. If you're over the age of 70 and you don't want to yell, stay home. We're here. We're here. We're here to be loud. If you don't want to yell, if you don't want to stand up, sit in the club section or stay home in the comfort of your home, because you can yell quietly on your TV at home. So I'm gatekeeping. It's Purple Patrol. It's Purple Patrol season. I'm gatekeeping. I'm telling fans how to fan because it's the playoffs, and this isn't the regular season where we have no wide receivers. This is a regular season where we do have wide receivers, and this game is important, and this game might not come again. So it's even that small. If you think your voice is small and it doesn't have an impact on the game, I beg to disagree. I think that everyone has an impact, a part to play. Of course, players will play on the field, and that'll mostly determine the outcome. But making the Texans burn a second half timeout can certainly change or bust a drive open because they had another false start. Yeah. So
loud, proud, and purple.
Absolutely. So without further ado, Vas, I hope you enjoyed the speech. Hope everybody enjoyed the speech. Hopefully, whoever watches now and watching it back, hope you enjoy it. So have a good weekend. Everyone have a safe weekend. And we will hopefully see you next week for the AFC Championship preview. And let's ride. Ravens flock, let's ride. See ya.